All right, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. I'm your host, Kyle Williams, and this is the #1 web show where aspiring independent artists, producers, bands, and musicians can learn right now how to find their market, gain exposure, and effectively grow their fan base. Today on the show, we have Steve Kamb from nerdfitness.com. And what Steve does is he helps nerds and desk jockeys level up their life by not only eating better, but exercising better and improving their overall mindset about body, mind, health. And you might think, oh, I'm not a nerd or a desk jockey, but if you have a job that has you sitting down a lot, or you are just sitting down a lot, period, during the day, whether you're practicing or performing or even just standing there, then this information that Steve has is really going to help you out on getting your mind and body connection better so that your music improves. Want to find out how this works? Stay tuned for the interview. Okay, everybody, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. On the show today, I have Steve Kamb from nerdfitness.com. Steve, thanks for showing up.
What's going on, Kyle? Thanks for having me, man.
So, guys, just another quick note. I've also been following Steve's blog for some time and been following his exercises, and it's, helped me out a lot, and he's a really nice guy, so you guys need to listen closely and pay attention, because I have a feeling this is going to be the best interview yet. So
hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So Steve, man, Nerd Fitness, your tagline is, level up your life. Can you tell us, what does it mean to level up your life?
Sure. Well, I was raised on old school Nintendo, like Super Mario, Metroid, Legend of Zelda, old role-playing games like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana. So I've always been a fan of adventure and video games, role-playing games, fantasy, things like that. And when I decided to start Nerd Fitness, for me it was a simple concept. It's like, I really love fitness, I love helping people get healthy, but I really, really love being a nerd too. Like,
yeah.
I think there's an opportunity for me to help specifically this group of people. So trying to think of how I could best relate to these people that are brand new to fitness and interested in getting healthy, but they've probably been turned off by fitness, infomercials in the past, or maybe they've even bought products, and the thought of going to the gym is just really intimidating or miserable to them. So
yeah.
I started looking at life very differently. Instead of saying like, oh, geez, I have to go work out now, it's more like, how can I be stronger today than I was last time out? Like,
yeah.
I started looking at myself like a video game character, and the progressions that I were making were actually steps or experiences gained towards the next level. So
yeah.
It was just kind of a small shift in my focus and my mentality. But as soon as I started identifying as the world as a giant video game and myself as the heroic character in that game, it made exercise way more enjoyable for me, and has helped other people do the same thing. So, the tagline, level up your life, literally translates to, like, find a way to be better today than you were yesterday, and put your focus on those things that make you happy, and find a way to do them as often as possible.
Nice. First off, I want to say I played most of those games you mentioned. I've always been a huge fan of the Final Fantasy series. I played Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, and I definitely fit right in because I really connected with that message. So, your niche that it's like a nerd niche, pardon the pun there, but
Sure. No pardon.
Full of bad jokes here, people, full of bad jokes. So
dude, I take pride in my corny jokes, so that was a good one.
I attribute it to my mom for that, but thanks, Mom. But specifically, your niche is, these people who, or have this kind of connection with this idea of gaining experience points, or, learning skills and leveling up and becoming stronger and stronger. That's what your message is tailored for. Can your message apply to, maybe people who don't consider themselves nerds, but are just desk jockeys, or just really sedentary, watch TV all the time, that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. I wrote an article recently called "What Kind of Nerd Are You?" And in my opinion, I think a lot of people, when they think nerd, they think somebody that sits at home on their couch and they just play video games, and that's the nerd, and they don't know how to have a conversation. They are like the Revenge of the Nerds type of nerd that they see.
Yeah.
They expect. In my opinion, I think everybody's a nerd in some way. Whether you're like a baseball statistics nerd or a fantasy football nerd or a music nerd or a geology. You love rock climbing, or you love the study of rocks, archaeology. You're a science nerd. There are so many different ways to qualify yourself as a nerd, and I use nerd in the most endearing way possible. Like, I think it's awesome. I think that I think everybody needs to have a passion. They need to have something that they really kind of geek out over, nerd out over. For me, my passions are far and wide. Like, I love video games. I'm a bookworm. I love getting lost in stories and traveling. So I think there's an opportunity for anybody to consider themselves nerds. And it's funny, I get a bunch of emails from people that say things like, I'm not really a nerd, but I love your site. Oh, by the way, I've read Harry Potter 7 times. And I'm like, you qualify. Like, they always like, not a nerd, but
I'm not really a nerd or nothing, because you're the nerd. But I did read a couple Harry Potter books.
Right, and then they say and then they list like 7 really, really nerdy things. And I was like, dude, we're a nerd. Like, wear that title with the badge of honor. Like, nerds are taking over.
Yeah, exactly. What's that actor's name who was in Hot Fuzz and he played Scotty in the new Star Treks? He had some quote about it.
What's his name? It's driving me nuts. She was in Shaun of the Dead, and
yeah, exactly. I don't know his name, but I do know that I had seen some post or quote that was supposedly attributed to him floating around on social media that basically said, being a nerd is, just loving something so much that you don't make excuses for, loving it. Like, you're unabashed about it. You just expose it. So I think that's probably at the core of what being a nerd is, and why like so many people could relate, because my audiences are musicians and independent artists, singer-songwriters and producers, and a lot of the work that they do has them, sitting down, like sequencing music and in the recording station, or you have the recording engineers who nerd out over the next, piece of equipment, the next mic preamp, and which kind of leads me to my next question. Creating and practicing music, whatever instrument you play or whatever software you use, it has you. It's not a lot of exercise, but hauling gear and performing can sometimes be exhaustive and can sometimes feel like exercise.
Sure.
Is this enough, or should musicians and artists really consider exercising beyond that?
I think it's tough. My previous job, I worked kind of in the music industry and spent 2.5 years around a tremendous number of musicians.
Was it on the boat?
I think I used to work. Yeah, I used to work for a company that chartered. We created floating music festivals, and it's tough, especially if you're on the road and you're playing every night. Most people don't realize that what they eat is 80 to 90% of their success or failure. Like, if they're trying to lose weight, doing 10 push-ups, but then going to drink 20 beers after a show and eating, a crappy Taco Bell at 3 in the morning when you're driving between states, like, it's not conducive to you getting proper results. Lugging gear around is freaking awesome. Honestly, like, I love strength training. I think if you have to do one thing in your life, or let's say you can pick 2 different types of exercise. I strength train and I go for walks. That's it. Personally, I don't like running, so I don't do it. Like, I'll run on a basketball court if I go play pickup, which I suck, or I'll go throw a frisbee around, or I'll go for a hike or something. But I think strength training is bar none, give you the most bang for your buck as far as creating that physique and level of health that you're looking for. So lugging around heavy gear is the equivalent of like real world strength training. I think that's awesome. I think that's more applicable than being in a gym using machine, or going through very perfect rigid sets of motion. Instead, you're lugging gear on. You're moving you're moving stacks of speakers, or you're moving soundboards, or whatever it is. Like, that's awesome. I think that's great. It just needs to be combined with healthier eating decisions, and most people don't really combine. Don't want to hear that. They want to hear, like, I can exercise for 10 minutes and then eat whatever the hell I want. Unfortunately, that's not the case. You'd be much better off taking care of what you're eating and then exercising on a very minimal basis. You'd be far healthier than if you're trying to kind of outrun your fork and do it the other way around. Yeah,
that makes sense. So it seems like concentrating on food first would give you the most bang for your buck, because you're saying, like, that's most of it, most of the battle there. Also in the music business, now some people can argue this, and I understand there are different arguments, but For some people, depending on what they want out of a music career, image is extremely important, and fitness is extremely important. It just depends. I've been through your site and I've seen some of the people that have had transformations, and one of the ones that I thought was really great was Stacy, who went from 170 to 142, and she deadlifts 315. How
now she's actually deadlifting 375.
Yeah, like I used to worry. I've fallen to the wayside, but I used to be at a gym. I used to eat a ton, and I had gained a lot of weight, and I was lifting so much. But that's a shit ton of weight.
It is. I mean, unfortunately, I got diagnosed with this spinal issue, and I don't think I'll ever be able to like really deadlift heavy again. But even when I was like at my peak, I think I might have topped out at 315. So the fact that she's pulling 375 at her size, it's unbelievable. Unfortunately, I mean, she now works full time with me on Nerd Fitness, so it's pretty inspiring to hear the crazy things she's doing. It's pretty awesome.
So how does she do it? What are the key elements there? You mentioned food and strength training. Is there something else, some other factor that goes in there?
Those are the two big ones. The other two things that she did really, really well is she focused on building the habit. Instead of like, oh, maybe I'll exercise today or maybe not. Like, she set habits like, I'm going to exercise every single day or every other day, and these are the food goals that I need to hit, and every single day I will eat a little bit better than I did the day before. So she really put a focus on building a healthier habit instead of doing what most people do. It's like, oh, I'm going on vacation in 6 weeks. I'm going to starve myself and run on a treadmill every day for 4 hours and hate my life. And then 6 weeks later go on your vacation and then hate exercise and never, take 6 months off, and then all of a sudden you're right back to where you started, or even worse off than you were before. Instead, she looked at it as very, very small changes.
Yeah.
She tracked all of her progress. She was like, today I'm going to deadlift 100 pounds. Next week I'll deadlift 105 pounds. The week after that I'm going to deadlift 110. Very, very small incremental changes, but because she stuck with it for 8-9 months, up to that point where she, where the success story is posted. Since then, she still does it every week, and she still tries to add weight every week. Obviously now topping out at 375, she's now working with like professional strength coaches and trying to like set state records and do crazy things like that. So I think the other really important thing that she did was she had a really great support group, and she actually found that support group on Nerd Fitness. Like, it was the people on the Nerd Fitness message boards that convinced her to start strength training and allowed her to have that confidence to walk into a gym and go in the back of the gym where all the meatheads and terrifying people are, and pick up a barbell and not be afraid to do squats and deadlifts and overhead presses and things like that. So she ate right, she lifted properly. Most importantly, though, she put her habits up at the front of her mind and made sure building a proper habit was what she focused on. And then she had a support group to lean on and to ask questions to and on certain topics, and lean on when she struggled, and have somebody to just share her successes with when she actually succeeded too. So her story is the best, and it's honestly, I have to imagine, I think it's probably been viewed like 1 million times or something, and it has been responsible for sending so many more women to Nerd Fitness and got
exactly
lifting weights that it's awesome. Like, she's become such a heroine to so many women all around the world that it's pretty awesome.
It's blowing that misconception that most women have, that if they lift heavy they're gonna become masculine, and it's just not. It's counterintuitive. It's just not true at all. And she had to definitely work hard and put a lot of time into it. But was there a point where, she was able to manage her time so well that maybe this didn't take up a lot of her time during the day, like she would have time for other pursuits? I mean, is it a beast that you just can't,
I think, she started out very, very, very small. She just, like in the beginning, she was like, I'm just going to change a couple things that I eat. And it's like, oh, exercise, like I can do that once a week. And then she did it. And then she found out that she really liked it. And then it was like, well, now maybe I should make time for twice a week. And time is one of those things. Everybody's like, I never have time for anything. And that's crap. In my opinion, everybody needs to stop saying, I don't have time for this. And they need to start saying, this is not a priority. So if somebody says I have time to work out, it's more like working out is not a priority. All these other 10 things that I'm doing, whether it's watching TV or playing video games.
Exactly.
Spending 6 hours on YouTube or whatever it is, those things are taking a priority over that. So once you can have that that mental shift, all of a sudden your schedule kind of clears right up.
Yeah.
I think for her it was a small adjustment, but now she makes time. I mean, working out and exercise is her priority, and it's awesome. It's so great to see that coming from where she was and how unhappy she was before. Now she's a person.
What do you think holds people back from? I feel like there's something that goes deep when people say, "Oh, I don't have the time." Like it's some kind of fear of change. Like they're, even though they want it. I don't know if this makes sense, but even though they want the change, they want, like, say, a more fit body, or this can apply to anything. Like someone wants to record an album, or wants to get better at guitar, or get better at saxophone, or sing better, or whatever. They always say they don't have the time, but do you think there's something that's like primally deep in there that just makes them procrastinate?
Absolutely. Well, I think everybody. I mean, I procrastinate like hell. Everybody does. I've just had to put fail safes in place where all of a sudden, like, now if I skip an article that I'm supposed to write, like, I pay somebody else in Nerd Fitness, I pay them $50. It's like, I don't want to lose $50, therefore I should probably write this article. So I put steps in place to hold myself accountable, because I know if that wasn't there, I would procrastinate forever. Nothing would ever get done, and I'd be out in the street, busking for dollars here in Nashville and sucking at it because I'm not a very good musician.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So honestly, I think a big part of it is naturally procrastination is easy. It's easier to sit on the couch than it is to go out and do something.
Okay.
Along with that, I think a lot of people really fear failure. Like if they put effort into something and then it doesn't work out, they see it as a reflection on themselves and their character, and they're like, well, what if I try and it doesn't work? Then all of a sudden I'm a failure, and internally I am now a loser. Therefore, I can just say I don't have time for it, or I'll only put a little bit of effort in, so that way, in case I do fail, I can put the blame on something else. And it's not my fault. It had nothing to do with me. It was because of this other situation. In reality, it's like, look, failure is awesome. Like I read this great article by Jonathan Fields. It was called Make a Shitty Guitar. And he always wanted to build a guitar, and he read every book he could on building guitars and watched every video. And then one day he sat down he was either the owner of Gibson or Taylor or something, and he interviewed this guy. He was talking to him about how he always wanted to build a guitar. And the owner of the company came back to him and said, "What are you waiting for? Go build a shitty guitar." And he's like, "But then I've built a shitty guitar." And he goes, "Yeah, but the next one that you build is going to be a little less shitty, and the one after that is going to be a little less bad than that, and then eventually you might be able to make a pretty good guitar, but you could read everything in the entire world. It doesn't matter until you actually start putting plans in place." And failure is awesome, because that failure teaches you exactly what doesn't work, and it teaches you what does not work for you. For some people, they think exercise is like running on a treadmill for 4 hours and starving themselves. I hate that. That would drive me crazy. If that was the definition of exercise, I would not be running a website called Nerd Fitness.
And you don't burn many calories, right? Running.
No, well, I mean, that's a whole other story. But, it's like you should be doing things that you love. And if this vision of exercise for you is miserable, reframe it. Like, if you don't want to strength train in a gym, go swing on monkey bars in a playground down the street, or go for a run, join a parkour class or a gymnastics class, or take swing dancing, or do live action role playing, or do whatever it is that gets you off your ass and outside. Like, start there, and then once you find that thing that you enjoy that gets your heart pumping, you can start thinking of things like, okay, well, maybe if I ate a little bit better, then maybe this activity I would be a little bit better at it. Or maybe if I strength train, then I would become better at ultimate frisbee. Or if I did this, then it would make my standing for 3 hours playing guitar a little bit easier. Whatever it is, like, find the thing that makes you happy and find a way to do it all the time. And then your focus kind of shifts. Instead of like, ugh, I have to go run, or I have to go to the gym. It's more like, I'm doing these things because I know it's going to make me happier and better at the things that make me happy. And then you throw in the whole level up your life stuff, and you're like, oh, okay, I wonder if I can run faster than last time, or lift more than I did last week. So it kind of all builds on each other, and creates this ball of momentum that is very, very slow to begin with. But once it gets rolling, I mean, it's, as I like to say, a friend of mine told me once, he said, never underestimate the power of momentum. And it's really, really powerful.
Yeah.
Getting started, but then once you get going, it's really, really tough to slow down too.
Yeah, I can personally relate to that. I mean, I have a really close friend of mine who motivates me a lot, and he's helped me gain the momentum, and now I see the truth of the momentum. So you're saying that there definitely is a correlation between, being physically fit or getting, just getting out there and getting active with things that you love doing. So you can make your body healthier, and thus, like, your creativity as an artist or a musician would flourish. Maybe because you got that body mind connection. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, genetically, we were designed to move. We're not designed to sit on our asses for 16 hours a day and watch television. Like, from a evolutionary perspective, that is not what we're meant. We're meant to go for long walks and explore and climb trees and do all these like really like outdoor adventurous type things. Yeah. So, if you can find something that gets you outside and enjoying it, personally, like I said, I'm not, I mess around with guitar and piano, but music is something I do for fun. It's not my living. Writing is my living. I have to write, and I find that my best writing comes when everything is firing on all cylinders. Like, I'll have a great workout, and I'll eat a great breakfast. I'll get a great night's sleep. I'll wake up and I'll crank out like 4,000 words. Other days where like I stayed up too late, I had too many beers watching the hockey game, or stayed up too late watching whatever, or played EverQuest or World of Warcraft until 3 in the morning. Sure enough, next day rolls around, I can't write anything. I'm completely useless. So there's absolutely a connection, and I've seen it firsthand with my writing. And I have to imagine same thing is true with songwriting. Whether you're trying to identify chord progressions or what words go with what other words to form the metaphor you're looking for, it's absolutely connected with how you treat yourself and how you take care of yourself and the type of foods and things that you put in your body, for sure.
So do you think the most accomplished individuals in history probably had that balance, had that like physical with...
That's tricky because, you always have like those like the Edgar Allan Poes or like brilliant, and then they're also like, alcoholics and died and, so...
But how long did they last? I mean, I don't know his history.
That's true. I think the longevity. I mean, take a look at somebody like Bruce Springsteen. Like, that dude runs around on stage for 3 hours, cranks out an album a year. Like,
okay, great example. That's the example we can pull out.
That guy takes care of himself. I don't know how old he is these days, but he's getting up there, and yet he can still do what he does on stage for 3 hours a night, and then for an entire year, and then still be able to put out a new album of 14, 15 songs, whatever it is. Like. Yeah. That longevity, I think, is more important. It's
Prince
funny
too. Prince is another great example. He's he's on top of it, man.
You got to take care of yourself. Yeah. And I don't mean don't have any fun. Like, I take care of myself during the weeks, and then on the weekend, I can have beer and go like eat pizza and go stay out late and go to a concert, and then get right back up on Sunday afternoon or Monday, and get right back on track, and it's not a problem. So, I think it's finding that balance between the two. Yeah, you might be more creative if you're really drunk or something, and you write something really profound. But who knows how long that's going to last?
Yeah, that's I wrote an article actually about that, about just like alcohol and drugs and creativity, and that's a whole other shebang. But
that's a completely different podcast.
But totally. But that's a good idea to tackle that. But the message is clear in the sense of, for stability and longevity, you have to take care of your body, and that will positively. If you feel like shit because you just like ate 5 soft tacos at Taco Bell and it went right for you, and it tears your stomach up. Yep. Yeah, then you're not going to be as like, oh, all right, let's tackle this day, So
right, or get on stage and be like, yeah, I'm going to be stage presence and energy. Exactly, right.
Yeah. So I just had a quick little question here. Have you played The Last of Us yet?
Dude, honestly not. So I'm currently playing through Batman Arkham City, and then I have to play BioShock Infinite, and then after that is The Last of Us. So I spent like 2 years living out of a backpack and traveling. So like I had no TV and no PlayStation. Yeah. So I moved to Nashville 6 months ago. I finally got a PlayStation 3, and I went back and played through like all the God of Wars and played through, like I'm playing my way through like the past 2.5 years of all the games that I've missed. So The Last of Us is definitely on the list because I hear it's freaking phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to resist. My buddies, I'm going to get a copy from my buddy and probably play the game with him.
Nice.
This next question is actually it's totally for me, man. I don't know if anybody else has this issue, but okay. So obviously you still play video games. You're very busy. You're running Nerd Fitness. It's like a business. It's your life. I'm building Seeds of Music as well, and it's taking a lot of time and working on music too. And I love playing games too, but sometimes I feel guilty when I play them. Have you ever felt this way? How do you deal with that?
Sure.
I mean, maybe it could be not video games for someone else. Maybe for someone else, it's like episodes of True Blood. I don't know. But
yeah, honestly, sometimes the only time I ever feel guilty is when there are things that I know I should have done that I didn't do. So, and I've kind of gone away from this habit, but I'm hoping to I'm going to get back into it because it's been really successful. But I'd wake up every morning and I'd make a Post-it note and I'd write down the 3 most important things that I need to get done that day. As long as those 3 things get done, then at the end of that 3rd thing, like I can spend some time checking email, going on YouTube, playing video games, whatever. But it's when I am playing video games or doing something else instead of finishing that 3rd thing on the list, or it takes me 3 hours to get started on the first one because I was too busy checking email. Like that's when I start to feel guilty because I know that those 3 important things are the things that are going to help my business grow, or help me become a better person, or help me write a better article, or whatever it may be. So I think for me it kind of works out. Like, although I can kind of justify it, like, oh, this is market research as I'm playing a video game because I have culture, but I use that excuse far too much.
All right, and I need to make a 3rd character on Skyrim because that'll give me like some insight. No, I got stuck on that, and then I got a virus on my computer and had to wipe it, so I'd never install it again. But which is probably a good thing. But Steve, here's another fun little question I ask everybody. What's your favorite album, and what would your life be like if it never existed?
Oh man, that's a big question. Favorite album. While I'm thinking about that, I can tell you the first album I ever bought.
Okay.
Green Day's Dookie.
Nice.
I think I was in 4th grade.
Did you learn how to play like Brain Stew on guitar?
I mean, yeah, obviously, Green Day songs, there's 3 power chords, so you know those things.
Yeah. Dun-dun.
Oh man,
Dun-dun.
Beginning to end. Honestly, and this might be kind of weird, but I think honestly probably the album I've listened to the most from beginning to end would probably be the Third Eye Blind's original album, like the first album that came out. That was like right around when I was like freshman, sophomore in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And just tracks 1 through 7 were a phenomenon. Like 8 and 9 kind of sucked, and then it ended the last 4 or 5 songs. So there was like beginning to end. That's probably one of the albums I listened through consistently all through the most. And obviously since then they went tremendously downhill. But I thought as far as a debut album goes, and the time of period in my life that I was just
just the
really
most influential. Yeah.
Still getting into music, like in my opinion, Motorcycle Drive-By is one of my favorite songs still, and I will always remember like where I am or where I was when it always put me in a certain spot when I hear that song as a result of So I'd put that one out there as far as like, I don't want to say influential, but just probably maybe the most memorable beginning to end. And then I'm sure as soon as you and I get off this call, I'll have like 6 other answers that'll pop in my head. It's like, damn it, I should have said that one because that would have made me sound way cooler. But
don't feel bad. It's a stumper. The last, the one guy I interviewed, he couldn't even answer it. We just like left it at that. He just left it at that. It was just like totally stumped. But so I know it's a good question. So Steve, where can people get started with Nerd Fitness to get started leveling up their life?
Honestly, if you go to nerdfitness.com, there's a big box in the front. It's got my picture. I look like an idiot. And it says, sign up for an email list, and you sign up for the Nerd Fitness email list, and I give you 2 free ebooks that tell you like exactly what to do to get started. I don't charge you anything. Every email is free. Our message boards are free. There's like 17,000 people on there. I've written 5,000 articles. I'm sorry, 5,000. I've written 540 articles that are free now. Like 99% of the stuff on Nerd Fitness is free, just because I want to help people see through the crap that already exists out there and understand that they can get started immediately without a gym membership, without diet pills, without expensive
treadmills. I hate those things.
No treadmill. Dude, it's probably been 4 years since I've been on a treadmill, and I don't ever plan on stepping foot on another one, unless it's for like some sort of jackass stunt, and I'm trying to run.
Just the idea of it is horrible. It's like you're moving yet you're getting nowhere.
Yeah, it's like treadmills are for gerbils, as my friend Vic says, and I completely agree with that. If you're gonna run, like
Run somewhere beautiful.
Outside and go explore. Like, find a trail to run. And if you live in a city, like, go explore a part of the city you've never been in, or you live in a park or in a countryside, go find a park that you've never been to. Whatever it is, we're meant to be outside. You know, we weren't born doing what we're doing currently. So the more time you can spend outside doing things that you love and exploring and kind of tapping into that primal, you know, inner desire that we have as a species, I think the better off, the better you'll feel, the more interested you'll be in making healthier decisions, and like you said, the more things that kind of go along with that, as you make better healthy food choices and exercise more and things like that.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thanks for coming on, man. It's awesome it's been awesome to interview people that have been following their blogs, you know, for some time and already kind of, you know, have like a really good grasp of the message and the background. So thanks for coming on and letting us know, helping me out with my video game guilt problem as well as everything else.
You got it. And as soon as I think of those other albums, I'll email you.
Okay, right on. Okay, see you later, man.
See you, dude.
All right, that wraps up another episode of Seeds of Music. Today on the show, we had Steve Kamb teaching others how to level up their life by eating healthier and exercising healthier. And hey, if you want to make music for years and years to come, then you got to take care of yourself. You got to be healthy. You got to treat your body right. So head over to his site, nerdfitness.com, and sign up for the email newsletter and get his 15 Mistakes Newbies Make ebook. So moving on, if you haven't yet, sign up for the email newsletter. It is the best way to stay updated and never miss an interview. If you're watching directly from YouTube's website and you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, but not to the newsletter, make sure you sign up for the newsletter. That's a better choice of staying in touch than the YouTube channel itself. If you like this interview, you feel like you got some great tips for taking better care of yourself, make sure to like it and share this with everyone you know, because everyone can do with leveling up their life and living healthier and consequently being happier. Lastly, comment on the video. What was your greatest takeaway from the interview and how will you apply what you've learned? I mean, are you going to implement exercises now, or are you already doing push-ups right now? Just let me know. Send an email to kyle.seedsmusic@gmail.com. And also, if you know someone who you'd like to see interviewed, let me know. Also, send me an email. Tell me who that person is or get me in touch with them. I would love to be able to interview with them. I'm constantly looking for new people with great stories and great ideas, great tips to interview here on Seeds of Music. So, until the next interview.